All right, Gamecock fans, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for a minute. Crossroads. I think Gamecock fans, Shane Beamer, kind of at a crossroads in the relationship. Been a lot of talk, right? There's protests going on amongst the students tomorrow to get Mike Shula fired. Now, let me clarify that again. Mike Shula getting fired. Now, this is amongst the students, and they have a protest at the University of South Carolina tomorrow at 3 p.m. A lot of conversations. I've looked at a lot of conversations between Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, a lot of different opinions about what should happen with the team. This relationship, I think, with Shane Beamer is really starting to sour amongst a lot of the Gamecock fans. Now, I'm not talking about everybody. There's a lot of people that still have a lot of love for Shane Beamer. I think a lot of people feel that Shane Beamer is the right person for the job. A lot of people think he's not the right person for the job. I think some people are still on the fence whether Shane Beamer's the right coach for the University of South Carolina. Can he make the right hires? Can he make the tough decisions? His snappiness during press conferences, jumping back at reporters, he's done it towards fans before. The sarcasm in his tone when he talks to the fans about the doom and gloom and need to find some joy and need to do all this stuff. And a lot of times it sounds like he double talks himself, right? The press conference practice gives him a lot of hope and all this type of stuff, and that's what he thinks South Carolina can be much better because of the hope, because of what he sees at practice. And then out of the other side, when he talks, he's talking about all the injuries, not being able to go good on good in practice. So where's the hope? I mean, fans don't see practice. We only see the product on the field, and it hasn't been good. And fans are frustrated. There's even frustration now coming in with the renovations of the stadium. I saw a thing posted today where this guy's really upset because he is losing his season tickets. No one has told him anything. His season tickets are getting pulled because the seating won't exist next year. And they've been in his family, have a lot of memories of those seats. So progress, whether that be through Shane Beamer, the team, what's next for South Carolina, what do they do as far as the coaching staff, changes being made. People frustrated about, like I said, about their tickets, the season tickets that's been in their family for many years. And, you know, a lot of people that donate money are going on both sides of this. Some people say they're not going to donate any money and they're not going to do anything until they see improvement. A lot of people are still donating money because they believe in Beamer. So I think there's a big crossroads right now in South Carolina. And how do you solve that crossroads? Well, I don't have the answers to that. What I do have is a channel that I get comments that goes both ways. What I do also is read comments throughout everywhere I can find them to try to gauge where this fan base is. We'll get on to talk about it more. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all you guys that do that. We're constantly growing. Massive views on videos this past weekend. Where's my stance on where Shane Beamer, coaching staff, whatever, when people ask me about it, I'm kind of one of those people, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I say in one way, it's time to move on from Shane Beamer. Maybe he's maxed out what he can do here at the University of South Carolina. You're going to have more than likely, you're going to finish with 2 out of the last 3 years of being losing seasons. I still kind of compare where Beamer's at as to what Muschamp did. Now Muschamp got crucified and he got fired. He was his last year during a COVID year with an all SEC schedule. He won 2 games up until the point where he got fired. Beamer, depending on what happens the rest of this year, similar numbers realistically. Muschamp had a 9-win season. Beamer's had a 9-win season. Muschamp had a 7-win season. Beamer's had a 7-win season. Muschamp had a 6-win season. Beamer had another better. He's got more wins, but now that's starting to fall back into. Now Muschamp can't get any more wins at South Carolina. His record is what his record will always be. But now Beamer's starting to fall behind. He's losing record in the SEC. We went through it a couple of weeks ago in my notebook where I talked about what Beamer's biggest wins were outside of the 2 Clemson wins and outside of the Tennessee win. What is Shane Beamer's next biggest win if we were to look at overall? Was it the bowl game against North Carolina? Or was it Texas A&M? Now the Texas A&M team went on, the first win was Jimbo Fisher. They went on to fire Jimbo Fisher. Your second win against Texas A&M was last year against Mike Elko in his first season. And then A&M went on to not really having a great season. We lost to LSU. They went on to not having that great of a season. Actually finished behind South Carolina last year in record. LSU finished the season with 8 wins. We finished with 9. We watched Vanderbilt just kick the crap out of a LSU team that beat us. All this stuff sets off frustration amongst the fan base. Now, the other side of that, the other part of that crossroad is, I believe Beamer, when he says he loves the University of South Carolina. He's proven that. He goes to all the events, all the other sporting events. He supports all the other coaches. He does all the right things. He goes out and shakes hands and kiss babies and try to promote the program, try to make money for NIL through the Gamecock Club and all this stuff. Well, I've also had people tell me they don't do the Gamecock Club no more. They're not going to do the Gamecock Club anymore. Some older fans just enjoy the football games. They really don't care about wins or losses. I mean, I'm not saying they don't care, but they're not as into it as some of us fanatics that kind of eat, breathe, and just love the football program and want the football program to be really great and contend for playoffs and championships. I've heard, I was watching Inside the Gamecocks today, and a kind of guys, they're big on the Clemson rivalry and JB, not to knock any of them guys, but they have the right to their opinion too, but saying, come November, if we win that game, that's a big determinant. I don't care about beating a crappy Clemson team. One rivalry game, it's one of the same things I said when I talked about Oklahoma. I talked to some people about the Oklahoma-Texas game and whether Mateer should sit out. One game compared to your season is not that thing. I don't care if it's your rival. I've told people all through when I had my old channel, as a South Carolina fan, as a big picture fan, viewer of college football, we could lose to Clemson every year. I wouldn't care. If we're making the playoffs and contending for championships, whether that be SEC championships, national championships, I don't care. That's one game. I would rather win a championship. We have beaten Clemson before. We have never won a national championship. We have never won the SEC championship. We have never made the playoffs. When I look at our team, I want us to do things we have never done before. I want to grow. I want to see this team be a contender. I like seeing this team getting talked about when it comes to national relevance. So the question is Beamer the coach that's going to take you to that? No? You get some kickback from other people. Well, if you fire Beamer, you're going to start over. You're going to have to kick. It's going to be another 3 or 4 years. That's not the way college football works anymore people, and we have got to get that old mindset out of our heads because people are still not recognizing the transfer portal. You're still thinking this is time you gotta get high school recruits and you gotta develop them so you have that waiting period. No, rosters are getting flipped every year by these coaches and teams. Every year. You look at Ole Miss's roster last year, they flipped that thing in a year. Yeah, they kept some guys there that were really good, but look at the what they added. And people say, well, South Carolina don't got money. If you're getting the right players and you're the right coach and you got the fan base convinced and the boosters and the people with the money convinced that you can get out there and contend for playoffs and championships, the money will come. Donati is out there selling sponsorships. He's bringing money into the university. The money will come. You don't think the better this football team is, the easier it is on his job to sell those sponsorships? Much better when you're winning football games. But back to my thoughts on what should happen with Shane Beamer. Some people are on the bandwagon, fire Shane Beamer. And I can see that. Can Shane Beamer hire better assistant coaches? Or at least offense coordinators? To me, that's still a question to be answered. Because if you look through, outside of what I would say is Torian Gray, do you have a national assistant coach that people know who they are? Like, I live in Florida, and Torian Gray's from Lakeland, where I lived for quite a few years. Everyone around that area knows who Torian Gray is because that's where he's from. Through the state of Florida and his recruiting in the state of Florida, people know who he is. His development of players that are now in the NFL, you've seen J.C. Horn, who wasn't a Torian Gray guy, but a defensive back from South Carolina making plays yesterday. Well, you got Nick Eamon Ward that's come right behind him that Torian Gray did develop, and he's getting his name out there. The DB rooms from South Carolina are constantly developing and getting to the NFL, and the guys that Will Muschamp developed now going into Torian Gray when it comes to the DB room. It's a tradition now in South Carolina when it comes to cornerbacks and safeties. But outside of that, who on South Carolina's coaching staff do you think you're going to go around and ask? Give me a name off of South Carolina's coaching staff that is well known. Probably Sean Elliott will be your next guy because of his win when he was at Georgia State over Tennessee and then taking over for Steve Spurrier. So JC kind of disagreed with me on today that he didn't know. He thought Shane Beamer could hire some good coaches, but I'm talking about name coaches. I'm not talking about just someone that's a good coach at a lower level that we don't know, that it's going to be an experiment when we hire that guy, if it's going to translate into the SEC, the type of offense that the guy runs. Do you have the talent right now to run that type of offense? So I don't know. I mean, I think while Beamer's still on that fence and all this Virginia Tech, he didn't deny that he wasn't going to go to Virginia Tech. All he said is he's where he wanted to be, and this is his dream job. You know what? Pay me $8 million. It's my dream job, too. But he did come here for a lot less money, so that was just me being a little sarcastic. Where does this relationship go? Does it continue souring as the losses stack up? I'm sorry, I have to swallow, y'all. Some people complain about smacking. No, it's called swallowing. But where does this relationship go, honestly? I don't know, and that's what I'm saying. If you had to tell me today that I had to make a choice whether we keep Beamer or get rid of Beamer, and it's my decision, and I'm looking ahead. Now, I'm not Jeremiah Donati. I don't know his connections. I don't know who he knows. Someone even asked me, Paul, I think his name was, on inside. We were in the chat, asked me where would I go to hire a coach. Well, from where I live, it's about an hour and a half over to USF, and Alex Golish is sitting over there. probably a guy I would have a conversation with. Sonny Dykes, who does have a relationship with Jeremiah Donati, another guy that you could have on the phone and have a conversation with, especially if he's bringing Kendall Browse's offensive coordinator with him. They have a quarterback out there that's tearing it up. Hosevar, I think is his name. I've watched him a few times this year. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but the kid can sling it. They have a good offensive system. Does it relate to the SEC? I would think Kendall Browse knows because he was at Arkansas. So there's coaches out there you can have conversations with. I don't know, you put feelers out. If it's a thought in your head that maybe you have to make a decision that, or Beamer leaves, or you have to make a decision to get rid of Beamer, there's a lot of coaches out there you can put feelers out and have conversations with. If it was my choice today, if I'm going to have to flip, if I'm Beamer, or I'm in a situation I know Beamer's going to have to flip most of his staff, then why not just start at the top, go with a new head coach, and flip the staff? I mean, I'd had the conversation. Sean Elliott needs to stay. You probably want to keep Torian Gray around. I don't know if he would stay. I have a feeling since Torian Gray played at Virginia Tech, if Beamer leaves, he's going with Beamer to Virginia Tech. I could be wrong, but that's the connection there. But there would be some guys I would try to keep if I was the next coaching staff coming in. But we all know these ADs like their own guy. We've seen it time after time after time. And everybody's in panic mode right now. Hugh Freeze, chopping block. I've even seen Tennessee fans talking about getting rid of Josh Heupel. And a lot of people will say, well, South Carolina's crazy if they fire Shane Beamer. They shouldn't do it right now. The market is what the market's going to be constantly like this now, y'all. Because there's no more 5, 6, 7 years to build a football team, because players are now getting paid, because you now have a transfer portal that you can flip your roster and you can bring in talent. The patience is not going to be what it used to be. And I get it. You can look around and say, well, a lot of these people aren't in the SEC. They're not. Signetti at Indiana is ruining this. It's ruining what's going on for coaches right now. And I'm not blaming it on Signetti for being successful or Indiana. That's what they're supposed to do. I'm just saying, when you see that, when you see guys like Alex Golish take USF to where it is now in just a few short years, the type of offense he's running and the quarterback he has that would fit Lenore Sellers perfectly, that system run down there at USF. They have a quarterback almost built just like Lenore Sellers did, running that offense and making plays every game. So I can see both sides of the argument on getting rid of Beamer or just getting rid of Shula, changing the staff around. I just gave you my opinion on what I would do, but that doesn't mean that's what Donati's going to do. That doesn't mean that's what South Carolina should do. I'm just a fan. I'm not in the building. I don't know the conversations, but by the product that's being put on the field right now, and then looking ahead at our schedule and knowing that we're going to stack more losses, and the way this relationship between Beamer, the reporters, and the fans is starting to go, it is not good for anybody. It's only going to get worse. The temperature is going to go up. And when that happens, everyone starts being nitpicky about everything. They're going to look for everything to go at Beamer about. They're going to look for everything to just pick this team apart. Is that fair? Not fair? I don't know. Everybody's making a lot of money, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Anyway, appreciate all y'all. Please like and subscribe. I'll at you later. Peace.